To make a move like that, you have to have kahunas and conviction.
Long term, I'm bullish. We could see about a 20% correction next year.
This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial. So what is the first step that entrepreneurs should take?
The very first step anyone should do is invest in themselves, right? Because again, because I also own a private wealth management company, a lot of people always ask me, like, where should I invest my money, right? And the first response I always give is invest in yourself. Because no matter what happens in the markets, the knowledge that you gain can't be taken away, right? No matter what happens to you in life, whether you're talking about divorce, disability, disillusionment of business enterprise, no matter what it is, the knowledge you gain cannot be taken away. So if you invest in yourself, first and foremost, learn concepts of financial literacy, learn concepts of business enterprise, like what does it take to make a business successful? I really don't like the word successful. I try to talk about it in terms of like milestones of success, because at the end of the day, I don't think you can be full of success. I think there's abundance that exists in the universe because of this amazing system we have called capitalism. Capitalism is driven by value creation, and value creation drives money, right? If you create value, money follows. It's a natural byproduct of going out and solving other people's problems. So teaching a business owner those general concepts is the foundational work. And once you learn that stuff, then you build upon that foundation. Like, again, if you learn the fact that if you want to make money, simply solve someone's problem, right? If you go out and solve someone's problem, money is the byproduct of that. If you want to make more money, solve bigger problems. And a lot of these sound very, very simple, and they're very, very small concepts, but you have to remember that small hinges swing big doors. And if you learn those fundamental principles, those fundamental concepts, and put them into practice routinely, consistently, without fail, you hit milestones of success. Now, everyone will define those a little bit differently. Like for me, when I was just getting started in business, I mean, anything would have been amazing, because my first 4 years in business as an adult was like anything but success. I pretty much made, I think, almost every mistake that could be made in business. I went into ridiculous amounts of debt. I really didn't earn any income. I got to a point where I was, by all intents and purposes, I mean, anyone looking in from the outside that could actually see the reality of what was happening with me would have definitely chalked me up as being a failure in business. And the only reason I didn't quote unquote fail is because I'm very, very stubborn. I just wouldn't give up. I wouldn't stop. But I hit my low point, like my rock bottom, about 4 years into business. I was to the tune of more than $250 some odd thousand in debt. I had 17 credit cards, 7 personal loans, and pretty much every bill that I had was more than 60 days past due. And my low point came, it was a Tuesday morning. It was a little bit after 6 a.m. I had just gotten up. I was getting ready for work, and I had a knock on my apartment door. I remember opening my apartment door, and there were 2 gentlemen that were standing at my door, and they were there to take my car. So they were repossessing my car that morning, which I needed to go to work. I can remember like signing the clipboard. I had to sign a piece of paper. I remember having to hand them my key, and I remember them putting my car on their flatbed and driving away with it. And I turned around and went back into my apartment. I walked through my little kitchenette, because you can't really even call it a kitchen. It's like a small little space. And I had this little round kitchen table, barely enough for one person to sit at, definitely could not hold 2. And on top of that, that table were like piles of envelopes, most of which were unopened because I knew what was inside. They were all past due notices. I walked through that kitchenette to the bathroom. I remember going to the mirror and looking at myself in the mirror and saying, Edward, like, what are you doing? Because everything I was doing was not working, like everything. And something like finally clicked in my head, because up until that point, even though I was a massive failure, I was still arrogant, because I did really, really well in school without ever having to try. So I thought I knew everything. And I became a real student of the markets, because when I was my financial planning practice, I was focused mostly on portfolios. And I was very, very good at that. Like I was really good at understanding what the markets were doing, but I was really bad at understanding how to operate a business. But in that moment, when I was looking at myself in the mirror, this switch flipped, and I was finally able to like leave my ego in that room, that bathroom. And when I turned around and I left, I was finally willing to actually listen to other people, like to go out and ask for help. Say, okay, listen, I know I find a business owner, they're actually doing something that seems to be remarkably better than what I'm doing. Let me ask them what they're doing and why they're doing it that way, and have them. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to have a number of them actually answer my questions and give me guidance. And what I was willing to do was probably like the most important thing. I was willing to literally just do exactly what they said without any question or resistance. I literally just heard something and immediately put it into action. And it was remarkable when I did that. Like within a year, I had stopped losing money. I didn't make a lot of money, but I hadn't lost a lot of money. And consistently before that, the prior 4 years, I was losing every year to the tune of like $250 some odd thousand cumulatively. But by the end of the second year after I did that, I had paid off all my debt, and I was living comfortable. And it's remarkable. I can attribute 100% of that to just doing what people who are already where I wanted to be, just doing what they told me to, like literally modeling that behavior. And that's probably a fundamental principle that most business owners need to learn. Like, if you're interested in getting to where you want to get to, find the people who are already there and literally just model it. The problem is, at least in my experience, and was absolutely 100% true in my case, is that most people aren't willing to sacrifice for the life they want, which means the life they want becomes the sacrifice, right? And once you learn that to be true, you can start to do things different. And it took me 4 years to do that. So what I try to do with the individuals I have the privilege of being able to serve is I try to help them understand that in the now, like understand it today, so that they can immediately start making the changes that will truly move the needle for them. And once you learn those fundamental principles, those mindset principles, a lot of other things in life just start to flow.